So I started reading the Old Testament the other day because I got into Hebrews and it required me to go back and do a lot of reading in the Old Testament, which I haven't read in a very long time. I'll be honest, I got depressed. Put a lot of notes in. Didn't make me feel great. Showed a lot of failure. I just thank you, God in heaven, you sent your son to redeem us through his sacrifice. It really made me miss reading the New Testament, to be honest with you. But I made a lot of notes, and it showed me some very huge contrasts. So everybody failed. All the kings failed. Everybody messed up. It showed humanity's rear end. Even when God was right there for the Israelites that left Egypt, they fell away. 2 people out of millions that were 20 and above saw the saw the new land, the promised land. There were so many failures. Percentages were so high that I think what it is it shows us that we have no chance. Without Jesus, we have no chance. Solomon given the wisdom. David, the heart of God. Saul, I don't know about Saul. But, you're looking at all these kings that had everything and yet blew it. And I think this is what it is for humanity itself. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is I told you before about don't go into church spiritually unarmed. If you're a new Christian, even if you're a new Christian, a beginning Christian, the Old Testament is tough. Start with the new. Really do it. Start with your Redeemer, Jesus Christ. So everybody failed. Everyone was violent. Everybody was compromised. I mean, the killing, the numbers of being put to the sword. I mean, when 12,000 people are killed in one day, I've never had to kill anybody with a sword. Most of you haven't either. And I mean, but then that is also the way everybody else, the Romans, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Chinese, the Indians, the Muslims, when they came along, that's the way everybody was killed, with a spear or sword, arrows, violent. Most deaths were very up close. That just being the normal humanity. But the New Testament reveals a fulfillment. The heart of God's revealed. Christ in the Spirit, empowerment, obedience, shows us a way out. But now there's a list here I made and got some help with. The Old Testament repeatedly demonstrates wisdom failing, kings failing, what's going on today, priests failing, judges failing, nations failing, flesh failing, human desire failing, power failing, religion failing. Does that sound familiar to anybody today? The Old Testament also repeatedly destroys faith in human strength, politics, kings, armies, wealth, intellect, idols, false religion, self-rule. Is any of this getting through to anybody today? I got to tell you, in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, without Jesus, there's just no way out. There's no way out. So, as a new believer, that's not really want to go, but you want to learn the character of Jesus, what he stands for, what he did, the faith involved, the meaning of the cross. Here are some things that the world would say. Why would I follow God? Even the greatest people of the Bible failed. Because it's teaching you a lesson. I got friends that still put their faith in humans running the government, running bureaucracies, on the news, supposedly telling us the truth. No, I don't believe any of it. None of it. We live in the Matrix. And it's an ugly place. But the Bible's proving that man cannot save himself. We can't do it. We need an instruction manual. I just finished a 3-part series on atheism, fence sitting, There's nowhere to sit on a fence in this world. Don't ask me what it all means. I am not God. I cannot even begin to. His thoughts are as high above ours as the heavens are from the earth. Now, in the Old Testament, it says, it's about powerful men. Well, the Old Testament is about the necessity of Christ. We need him because even if God's right there in front of you on a mountain or leading you or feeding you manna every day and you still don't believe him, you know what? Don't look at other people and say, I would never do that, because yes, you would. Yes, I would. We all would. And the world says, knowledge is enough. Just know more. You'll be fine. Solomon was given the greatest discernment, the greatest wisdom of any king, and he failed. He blew it. This came up. Religion fixes humanity according to the world. It does not. Religion is going to destroy the world unless you're a cult puppet. But here's the funny thing is Israel had prophets, miracles, priests, law, temple worship, and still rebelled repeatedly. The world says, I'm too flawed for God. Well, the entire Bible is filled with flawed people that were being confronted by a holy God. Here's a couple lists for you to go by. The world says the Bible's full of failures. The word says the Bible is honest about human failure. Now remember something. You can read this thing. I've read this thing when I was a kid, and it didn't make much sense. You have to have the Spirit. And again, I'm going to reiterate this. Start with the New Testament. Go deep on it. And I'll be honest with you, AI has opened up worlds for me that, like today in the Old Testament, there was a lot. Through Kings and 1 Samuel and Chronicles that I had no idea about. But it was vicious, just vicious. David sinned, Solomon fell, Israel rebelled. So righteousness is impossible according to the world. But without God, even the greatest men collapse. The Old Testament is about heroes. I don't think so. I think it's about humanity's need for salvation, where you can't even, you can't trust anybody. You can't even trust your own heart a lot of times. The Old Testament, it's not a record of heroes, battles, laws, and kingdoms. It's a long revelation about mankind's inability to even behave humanly. Wisdom fails, power fails, religion fails, kings fail. The only cure is Jesus Christ. I mean, look what this man did. Came to earth, gave himself on the cross, was resurrected. By the grace of God, he tasted death for us. The Old Testament is a warning for us that it's the same thing today. We're doing the same thing. Nothing's changed. And I keep stumbling across people. I watch TikTok. I watch YouTube. I'm reading a book right now by Dr. Michael Heisler about the unseen realm. But don't get too far off, especially if you're a new Christian. And I got to tell you, I should, if once this podcast goes live, if people want to know how I have trained my Chat GPT, anything I ask it now, it gives me back a religious bent, a religious, view of things. I have a lot of notes here. I mean, a lot. But like when I read about David and how he failed, he had everything. Solomon, wisdom, discernment. And then these guys with all their wives, all their wealth. There's a book called Ecclesiastes where Solomon is talking about he just did everything. Everything. And then at the end he says the one most important thing is obey God. So I have several other podcasts that I've had in the shoot. And I said, these are coming from the Old Testament. I better talk about the Old Testament because I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm depressed about it. And one of the last things I want to say is, if I was a Jew and I read the first 5 books of the Torah and then the other books that were written, I'd be running to Jesus. I'd be running to him because it proved over and over and over again you couldn't do it. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.